winter is coming, autumn is coming, winter is coming. Are you prepared? Many of you ask me that question, and really I get this question a lot. You want to know from me, should I prepare, or does this mean that I'm in a consciousness of fear and lack? Should I prepare? Because for a long time now, the alternative media have suggested to prepare, especially for winter time, with certain, like, stock up in food and make sure you have sources of power or sources of light or sources of heat when certain sources are no longer available, right? Now we see this in the mainstream media, right? What has been there in the alternative media for a long time, now it's everywhere and everyone talks about it. And so many people in the spiritual field, although I don't like to categorize, but many people who are on the spiritual path wonder about this concrete point. Should I actually prepare? Should I get like more food into the house, and should I get water resources, and should I prepare? Does it not mean that I'm in a consciousness of lack? And I want to answer that because it's a good question and it's absolutely relevant right now, okay? So the answer would be, I give you an example. Let's say it's cold outside and it's snowing, okay? So what do you do when it's cold and it's snowing and you want to go out and you know you're going to stay out there for a lengthy period of time? Well, you're not going to say, I trust in the universe and God to protect me, and I walk out there in my underwear or in a t-shirt, right? You say, okay, it's cold out there. I need to prepare for the cold. So I'm going to put on the clothes that I need to put on so that I'm warm, and then I can go out in the snow. It doesn't mean that you have fear of the snow. It doesn't mean that you're frightened of the snow, that you're scared of the snow or the cold. It just means that you know what you need to do to be prepared to actually deal with it. Okay? And this is the same thing. We're living in this third dimensional reality, world illusion. And there are certain rules and requirements that are here. And there is things like a body and heat and cold and hunger and needs, yes? So we need to make sure that we have what we need, right? And the minimum would be, let's say, food and water and some kind of shelter. And if there is a situation where it could be possible that some of these things may not be available to the degree how they were available before, well, then it is just reasonable to prepare. And no, it doesn't mean that you have to be fearful or that you display a fearful attitude. It means that you're quite reasonable. Because also as a spiritual being, we have to be reasonable, right? We did not get our brains for nothing. They are very valid. The same with the ego and the personality. It's all a package. And sometimes it's important to use these faculties. But your consciousness, if you're in consciousness, in wisdom, you know this, right? So you're only confused when you get mixed up in the different levels of consciousness, let's say. When you kind of wonder from a spiritual viewpoint, am I not fearful if I prepare for something that may or may not happen? And what I want to say is, at least from my perspective, my suggestion would be, this sounds quite reasonable to prepare, right? Because now the possibility seems quite real that certain things may not be available, especially things that we need to survive and to be safe and to be okay, and for our loved ones to be that way for a certain period of time. So it makes sense to prepare and to stock up on food, get your additional stuff in, and maybe have your additional wood if you need to use the stove instead of the heating system if it doesn't work anymore, and all this kind of stuff. So it makes sense. But going back to, because that is the real question of many of you, you're asking about your internal process and your internal state. You can prepare in total inner peace. And you can prepare in total knowingness that all will be okay, that all is okay ever. There is not even a will be, because that's a projected future. All is okay. And while you prepare, if you go out today then and say, right, okay, if Mel says that, maybe I should do that, and it makes sense what she says. If you think it doesn't make sense, that's okay too. But if you say, okay, maybe I haven't prepared enough, maybe I should, get a few more things ready, then you can do this with an internal attitude that will add to your light. You can actually prepare for a crisis situation in a way that increases your light. And this is, when you go out there, number one, you can be grateful that the shop is open. The shop has what I want. The shop has what I need. And I can buy it. And I still have money in the pocket to buy it. And this gratitude will increase your vibration. So then you get the things and you bless them. You bless everything that is still here. And even though for some people the feeling of grief and loss for even having to deal with these issues when for a long period of time now we didn't have to, right? We could just live very carelessly, a lot of us anyway, not all of us on the planet, but many of us. We could just enjoy our life for the main part. I did not have to think about these necessary things. So there can be a feeling of loss and grief with this grief, and this is okay. So feel this and comfort yourself, comfort these feelings and these emotions. At the same time, know that you're not here by accident. You chose, or your karma or your energy, chose this life in this location, in this situation, 2022, at this time, in this body, with this history, with these people in this environment, at this point on the world map. You chose this. And you are here now because of exactly what's happening. So instead of grieving, you can feel that, yes. But at the same time, when you remind yourself, I'm here for a purpose. I am here because I'm supposed to be here now with whatever is going on. I'm supposed to be here on this day. So today is the chance for me to live in my spiritual authority, to live in my love, to live in my light, and to show this, to show and share my compassion and my wisdom and my sense for freedom and my sense for lightheartedness, no matter what the situation, and my ability to comfort. This is why I'm here today. So when you go out and you collect your stuff, you get your stuff ready to put it into your storage, you can do this with this attitude of, I know I am here for this. And I know whatever we may have to go through, or I have to go through, there's always stuff we have to go through in life. I can handle it. But it's not about what happens tomorrow or next year or 10 years down the road. It's about how we live today. So how do you, for example, if you choose to prepare, with what internal attitude do you prepare? And you can do this with inner peace, and you can do this with gratitude, and you can do this with love and compassion. And then you may even think, while you shop for your stuff, you may even think of a neighbor or someone in your family that you buy additional stuff for because you know they don't prepare, or they may not have the money to prepare, or for whatever reason, or they may have a cat and you buy cat food even though you don't have the cat. So they may not think about getting the cat food in advance, but who knows, January could be a different story and you can bring the cat food over. I'm just saying this as an example to show us, all of us, we are always asked by life to choose the path of oneness, consciousness, unity, consciousness, or separation. And if we know all is one, if we know we're part of all this, every situation, every person, every headline, everything is part of us and we're part of it, then everything is serving us. And then our spirit of wanting to serve can infuse the whole situation with power, and that way we become empowered. So you can do the preparation bit with the opposite energy of what most people do. They do it out of fear. You can do it and feel more and more empowered, because you increase your light while you do this. And this goes for every single situation in life that we're faced with, for every single challenge. Every challenge is our teacher. Our life is our teacher, and every challenge is the teaching. So we get to ask, what are you teaching me? What do I get to learn? What do I get to explore? What do I get to develop? How do I get to grow from everything, every day? So I hope this answers your question, if you've had this too. Shall I prepare, like in a concrete, basic, physical, 3D way? My suggestion would be, you can do whatever you please. It seems reasonable because, like I said, at the moment, everywhere you hear that certain things may come to pass. It seems reasonable to do so. But yes, you as an aware spiritual being, do focus on your internal process while you do it, and choose the manner in which you do it, because therein lies the power. Okay? I'm going to love you and leave you for today, and we'll talk again next time, if you want to.